Let's talk about what a complete and total fraud Donald Trump's military operation against Iran was, because he has now proven it. He doesn't realize that he's proven it because he's an idiot, but he has proven it. He's proven what I and many of us have been saying from the beginning, that his stated reasons for taking this action were completely full of shit. Over the last couple of days, I've been talking with you about his real reasons for taking that action. I encourage you, if you haven't seen those videos already, please go take a look at them. They were about a number of things, completely political and owing to his severe mental problems and personality disorders that led him to do this. It had nothing to do with his stated reason, which was that Iran was on the verge of acquiring nuclear weapons and that Donald Trump had no choice but to act in defense of our country and take this preemptive action against Iran. He had no choice. Time was so of the essence. We had no time to delay. He couldn't even go to Congress to get congressional authorization because there was no time. That's how serious the situation was. Now, since that strike, Donald Trump has proven that it was all a lie. Let me explain. Because the reporting now, and there's also been a leak from, I guess, the Department of Defense. Not exactly sure which agency this supposedly leaked from, but there's a leak saying that the intelligence indicates that Iran suffered minimal damage to their nuclear program. That there's intelligence that the underground buildings are still standing, that this set Iran back maybe just a couple of months, certainly did not destroy the program, certainly did not obliterate, as Donald Trump keeps saying. Did someone just teach him this word, by the way? He keeps repeating it. Anytime he stumbles upon a new word, even if he doesn't know what the meaning is, but he likes the word for some reason, he repeats it over and over and over, like groceries. Anyway, guy's such a freaking idiot. So the story that they've been putting out about the attack obliterating Iran's capability, which they started saying, immediately after the strike, which they could not possibly have known that quickly after the strike. There was no time to gather the information needed to make that assessment before Trump and Hegseth and all the rest were out there proclaiming this a complete victory, Trump talking about his obliteration, all of that stuff. And he's been repeating it ever since, and he's attacking anyone who doesn't repeat the obliteration line. And now they're losing their damn minds over this leak and over the reporting that the Iranian nuclear program was not completely destroyed. As I said, underground buildings apparently, or reportedly, are still standing. Uranium moved from the site, the enriched uranium. We have no idea, apparently, where that's gone to. It's been removed. And of course it was going to be removed. The fucking idiot was all over, Truth Social for the last couple of weeks, threatening Iran that we're going to come and bomb you to take out your nuclear program. He told the entire city of Tehran to evacuate because, he made clear that a bombing was imminent. So of course they're going to move it. And so now it looks like, from all indications, at best, we set their program back a few months. So, if the strike did not... Because here's the thing. Shouldn't Donald Trump want to know? Shouldn't MAGA want to know what the truth is? Right? If we did not succeed in obliterating their nuclear program, shouldn't we know that? Shouldn't that be what we're talking about here? What exactly was the damage done to their program? Is their program still intact? What happened to the uranium? All of this stuff. Shouldn't that be our primary concern? But what is Trump's primary concern? What is the Republican Party's primary concern? What is MAGA's primary concern? What is Fox News and all of right-wing propaganda media's primary concern? It's pushing the Trump narrative that there was complete obliteration of the nuclear program and that anyone saying anything to the contrary is lying. They don't care what the truth is. And that in and of itself proves to you that this was all bullshit from the beginning. It was all political, and it was all to repair the damage that this sick narcissist suffered. The narcissistic damage he has suffered over the last couple of weeks, following all the embarrassments he's had, from his pathetic "I want to be a dictator" parade to the No Kings protest to being humiliated at the G7 and on and on and on. That's what it was about. It certainly wasn't about stopping the Iranian nuclear program that was supposedly on the verge of successfully producing a nuclear weapon. Because if that's what it were about, they would be focused on what the truth is. And if, in fact, as all indications seem to be, that the program was not destroyed, that their facilities were not obliterated, and that we have no idea where the hell the enriched uranium went, then shouldn't Donald Trump be taking further military action to make sure that that program is destroyed and that we hunt down and find what happened to that enriched uranium? I mean, it was so damn important that we had to bypass Congress to take this military action because they were on the verge of a nuclear weapon that was a direct threat to the national security of the United States. If we were not successful, shouldn't we be following up with more strikes? Shouldn't he be? I mean, I wouldn't recommend him doing that. He should go to Congress and get the authorization he didn't get to before. But shouldn't he be doing that? Shouldn't we be following up with more military action to make sure we do obliterate their nuclear program and that we find that enriched uranium that was removed because of Trump's big frickin' mouth? And by the way, if that uranium has been moved, now we got another problem, don't we? Because you're not going to be able to solve that problem by dropping more bombs. Are we going to put boots on the ground? I mean, isn't that the next logical step? If their nuclear capability is such a threat and so close to bearing fruit and giving them a nuclear weapon, then isn't it in our national interest to send, military on the ground to hunt down that enriched uranium? Or do we just say, hey, Donald Trump got the press coverage he wanted, let's call it a day? And by the way, if we did take further military action, we'd be violating the ceasefire agreement that Donald Trump imposed on everybody. Remember, he goes out there and he announces a ceasefire agreement when there clearly wasn't a ceasefire agreement because he was so desperate to have one so that he could say, look, I'm the peacemaker. Give me a Nobel Prize. So he goes out there and he imposes a ceasefire, cessation of further military action before he even knows if our military objectives have been met. So now, if we abide by the ceasefire agreement that idiot imposed, our hands are tied and we can't go in and finish the job or look for that uranium. And if we do try to go and hunt down that uranium, we're talking full-scale war because we will have to send troops in there to go find the stuff. But we're not going to do that because it was never about that. It was never about stopping their nuclear program that was on the verge of producing a nuclear weapon, because it wasn't on the verge of producing a nuclear weapon, as his own director of national intelligence testified under oath to Congress about just a few weeks ago, and why no one has seen or heard from her since. Where the hell is she? Is she in the witness protection program? Has she been unalived or something? Where is she? But it was never about that. Never about that. It was about the things we've been discussing on this channel the last few days. It was about his pride, his ego, his sick narcissism. It's about the fact that the Israelis were getting, good coverage on Fox News, that the Trump cult on Fox News, who watches Fox News, was eating it up, and Trump was desperate to look like a tough guy after having been humiliated from his pathetic little parade and everything else. That's what it was about. And he just proves it. They're all proving it. They all prove. Just watch Fox News for 5 minutes. It's not to them about the truth of whether or not we actually destroyed their nuclear program. Now it's all about yelling fake news about the reporting that we didn't destroy their nuclear program. Because they don't give a damn. They know it was alive from the beginning. Which is why, another reason we know that the nuclear program wasn't obliterated is that they canceled the intelligence briefing on it to Congress. They were supposed to give an intelligence briefing about what was actually accomplished in these strikes. They canceled it. They said it was postponed, no future date. Why? Because they have no evidence that it was obliterated, and they know that the exact opposite is true. It wasn't obliterated. And to share the actual intelligence with Congress would prove that Donald Trump was lying all along. This man lied us into that military conflict. Right? That was an act of war. He lied us into war. Now, I'm glad that it didn't escalate, but it could have. And who knows what will happen in the future. But this man lied. And if we had a functioning Congress, which obviously we do not, but if we did, there would be hearings right now on what exactly happened. Congress would be demanding to see the intelligence, demanding to know whether or not this man lied in support of this unconstitutional military action that he took unilaterally without any congressional authorization. That's all that we would be talking about right now. And that's all Congress would be doing right now, is investigating, calling the relevant people before these committees, putting them under oath, and demanding answers. But we know that's not going to happen. We've got 3.5 more years of this. Who knows what tomorrow's going to bring. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Talk to you again soon.